Well, it is time now for us to announce the star winners of today. Can I please invite our honorable chief guest on stage, Mr. Ram Charan. He, of course, needs no introduction. Management guru, CEO, coach. Mr. Charan, can we please have you on stage? Mr. Arun Puri. And Mr. Manpreet Singh Chadha, Vice Chairman of the Wave Group. We're about to start the award ceremony. Well, let's begin with our first category. Best CEO Cement Mid-Sized Companies, and the nominees are, well, H.M. Bangur of Shree Cement Limited, Vinita Singhania of J.K. Lakshmi Cement, Yadupati Singhania of J.K. Cement, P.R. Ramasubramanya Raja of Ramco Cement, and Gaurav Dalmia of OCL India Limited. Let's show you the winner. Dedication and discipline pave the way to success. This is what Hari Mohan Bangur believes in. He has proved his mettle as the 5,900 crore rupees Shree Cement has grown from 600,000 tons capacity to 22 million tons today. Not just that, Shree Cement stock has jumped 500% since 2009. H.M. Bangur, Managing Director, Shree Cement. Many congratulations, Mr. Bangur. Can we please have you up on stage? Let's move on now to our next category. Best CEO Chemicals Mid-Sized Companies, and the nominees are Mr. Salil Singhal of Pai Industries Limited, Sunil Lalbhai of Atul Limited, and Mr. V.K. Jain of Gujarat Fluorochemicals Limited. Let's show you the winner. Salil Singhal. He has the time now to stop and see the rolling greens and exchange a joke with his family. But Salil Singhal, Chairman and Managing Director of Pai Industries, has had to put in grueling hours to transform what was earlier called Pesticides India. The company employs over 1,400 people and has a market capitalization of close to $1 billion. Salil Singhal, Chairman and Managing Director, Pai Industries. Many congratulations, Mr. Singhal. Mr. Salil Singhal of PI Industries. Let's move on to our next category, Best CEO Financial Services Mid-Sized Companies, and the nominees are Mr. Rajeev Jain of Bajaj Finance Limited, Mr. Ramesh Iyer of Mahindra & Mahindra Financial Services Limited, Mr. T.T. Srinivas Raghavan of Sundaram Finance Limited, Mr. Kapil Vadhavan of Diwan Housing Finance Corporation Limited, and Mr. Sanjay Chamriya of Magma Finance Corp Limited. Let's get you the winner. Well, it is Mr. Ramesh Iyer, Managing Director, Mahindra & Mahindra Financial Services. Ramesh Iyer's journey is a story of grit and determination. Having started his career in Mahindra in 1979 as a management trainee and quit after a few years, he joined it again in the mid-90s to build a financing business. Built by Iyer from scratch, Mahindra Finance today has close to 900 branches and profits of 887 crore rupees. Ramesh Iyer, Managing Director, Mahindra Finance. Many congratulations, Mr. Iyer. Let's move on to the next category. Best CEO FMCG Mid-Sized Companies, and the nominees are Zubair Ahmed of GlaxoSmithKline Consumer Healthcare Limited, Mr. Sunil Duggal of Dabur India Limited, Mr. R.G. Chandramogan of Hudson Agro Products Limited, Mr. Harsh Mariwala of Marico Limited, and Mr. Shantanu Khosla of Procter & Gamble Hygiene and Healthcare Limited. Let's get you the winner.
Harsh Mariwala manages many irons in the fire with considerable success. He's known for keeping a diary that meticulously records his activities and also notes down conversations with people. Today, even after stepping down from day-to-day management of the 5,000 crore Marico, Mariwala is an even more busy man as he mentors fledgling entrepreneurs through his venture Ascent. Harsh Mariwala, Chairman, Marico.
Many congratulations, Mr. Mariwala. To our next category, Best CEO Auto and Ancillaries, Mid-sized Companies, and the nominees are Siddharth Lal of Aisha Motors, Jaydev Gala of Amar Raja Batteries, VC Sehgal of Madison Sumi Systems, Arvind Podar of Balakrishna Industries Limited, and Arvind Dham of Amtech India Limited. Let's get to the winner.
I'm very excited to receive this award as Best CEO.
Well, it's
I thank everyone at
Managing
Business
Director
today.
and CEO Aisha
Unfortunately,
Motors.
I couldn't be here on this lovely evening. I hope you have a great time, and on behalf of Royal Enfield, thank you.
Well, unfortunately, he couldn't make it, but of course, we wish him the very best, and his trophy will be couriered to him. Let's move on to our next category. Best CEO Infrastructure and Engineering, Mid-sized Companies, and the nominees are Mr. Virendra D. M. Haskar of IRB Infrastructure Developers Limited, Mahiskar, Mr. Rajiv Mittal of VA Tech Wabag Limited, Mr. Ashok M. Kataria of Ashoka Buildcon Limited, Mr. G. M. Rao of GMR Infrastructure Limited, and Mr. A. K. Purvaha of Engineers India Limited. Let's get you the winner. And it is none other than the airport man himself, Mr. G. M. Rao.
The architect of the Delhi International Airport, G.M. Rao, is now ready to take on greater challenges. G.M. Rao, Chairman, GMR Group.
Many congratulations, Mr. Rao. Moving on to our next category, Best CEO, IT and ITES, Mid-sized Companies, and the nominees are K.K. Natarajan of Mindtree Limited, Mr. P.R. Chandrasekhar of Hexaware Technology Limited, Mr. Dinesh Nandwana, Mr. Anand Deshpande of Persistent Systems Limited, and Mr. R. Ramanan of CMC Limited. Let's see who the winner is. Well, Mr. K.K. Natarajan, CEO of Mindtree.
Krishnan Kumar Natarajan has stood his ground after many had dismissed Mindtree in 2011 after Ashok Soota, the then executive chairman of the company, decided to part ways. Today, Mindtree is slipping at 27% compounded annual growth rate in revenue and an amazing 65% growth in profits. Clearly, KK has established his place under the sun. Krishnan Kumar Natarajan, CEO of Mindtree.
Many congratulations, Mr. Natarajan. Let's move on to our next category, Best CEO, Oil and Gas, Mid-sized Companies. And the nominees are A.K. Balyan of Petronet LNG Limited, Mr. B.C. Tripathi of GAIL India Limited, and Mr. Tapan Ray of Gujarat State Petronet Limited. Let's take a look at who the winner is. There it is, Mr. A.K. Balyan. Let's hear it from Mr. Balyan.
Ashok Kumar Balyan's interest in management is visible, having served on the boards of several subsidiaries of ONGC, which is why he was chosen to lead Petronet LNG when it was formed. Today, Petronet is the country's biggest gas importer, but that is not stopping Balyan from striking a comfortable work-life balance. A.K. Balyan, Managing Director and CEO, Petronet LNG.
Many congratulations, sir. Let's move on to our next category. Best CEO Capital Goods, mid-sized companies. And the nominees are Mr. Bhadresh Shah of AIA Engineering Limited, Mr. Prakash Sanghvi of Ratnamani Metals and Tubes Limited, Mr. Shishir Joshipura of SKF India Limited, and Mr. D.K. Chabria of Finolex Cables Limited. Let's take a look at the winner.
I am very thankful to Business Today Group for selecting me as the Best CEO Capital Goods mid-size category. It's a great honor, and I also congratulate all the...
Well, Dr. Sri Kumar is here to take the award on his behalf since Mr. Shah couldn't make it. Many congratulations. Moving on to our next category, Best CEO Pharma and Healthcare Mid-sized Companies, and the nominees are Yogesh M. Agrawal of Ajanta Pharma, Murli K. Divi of Divi's Laboratories Limited, Mr. Glenn Saldana of Glenmark Pharmaceuticals, Mr. Habir Khurakiwala of Wockhardt, and Dr. Shailesh Iyengar of Sanofi India Limited. Let's take a look at the winner. Any guesses there? Well, it is Mr. Glenn Saldana.
Glenn Saldana is a Goan with a vision and extremely rigorous work ethic. Up every day by 5 a.m., Saldana relishes breakfast with his wife and 2 daughters before hitting the road to work. Having grown the company from 80 crores in 1998 to 6,000 crores in 2014, Saldana has stayed focused on developing new drugs and has 6 molecules in the pipeline. Glenn Saldana, Chairman and Managing Director, Glenmark Pharma.
Many congratulations, Mr. Saldana. Let's move on to our next category, Best CEO Agriculture and Allied Mid-sized Companies, and the nominees are Mr. G.V. Bhaskar Rao of Kaveri Seed Company Limited, Mr. Anil K. Mittal of KRB Limited, Raju D. Shroff of UPL Limited, Mr. V. Shankar of Rallis India Limited, and Mr. Anil Jain of Jain Irrigation Systems Limited. And the winner is... well, Mr. G.V. Bhaskar Rao. Big round of applause for him. Moving on now to the large-sized companies. Let's look at the best CEO in agriculture and allied amongst the large-sized companies. And nominees are Mr. Ajay Sriram of DCM Sriram Limited, Mr. Anil Kapoor of Chambal Fertilizers and Chemicals Limited, Mr. R. Mukundan of Tata Chemicals Limited, Mr. Kapil Mehan of Coromandel, and Mr. R.G. Rajan of Rashtriya Chemicals and Fertilizers Limited. And the winner is, it is Mr. Kapil Mehan, Managing Director of Coromandel International. A big round of applause for
Kapil Mehan. Kapil Mehan clearly believes in the fitness mantra, be it for himself or for the over 10,000 crore Coromandel International. This Murugappa Group company's agri-retail business is profit-making and has grown from 420 outlets to 750 outlets today. Mehan believes in spending quality time with his family and even at work. Kapil Mehan, Managing Director, Coromandel International.
Let's move on to our next category, Best CEO Financial Services, Large Companies. And the nominees are, well, it is Mr. K.K. Mistry of Housing Development Finance Corporation and Mr. Vikram Limai of IDFC Limited. Any guesses on who the winner is? Well, it is none other than Mr. K.K. Mistry, Vice Chairman and CEO of IDFC.
KK Mystery wants to see hopes and dreams of people take concrete shape through a company that has changed the skyline of cities across India. An avid cricket enthusiast, Mystery is not one to be rushed by market frenzy and balances a quiet moment with advice and plans for the company that has a market cap of 1,75,000 crore rupees. KK Mystery, Vice Chairman and CEO, HDFC.
Many congratulations, Mr. Mystery. Let's move on to the next category, Best CEO FMCG Large Companies. And the nominees are Mr. Yogesh Chandra Deveshwar of ITC Limited and Ms. Vinita Bali of Britannia Industries Limited. And the winner is Cookies for Vinita Bali.
Vinita Bali served Britannia Industries with distinction for 9 years and is now on the boards of several organizations worldwide. Vinita Bali, CEO and Managing Director, Britannia Industries.
Let's move on now to our next category, Best CEO IT and ITES Large Companies. And the nominees are Mr. N. Chandrasekaran of Tata Consultancy Services and Mr. T.K. Kurian of Wipro Limited. And any guesses on the winner? Well, it is Mr. Chandrasekaran.
He's the man who's opened the doors for TCS in new directions and established it as India's largest private sector employer in India. But N. Chandrasekaran, CEO Tata Consultancy Services, is not sitting on his laurels. A gizmo freak, Chandra believes that the biggest technology disruption is being triggered by smartphones and social media. N. Chandrasekaran, CEO and MD, Tata Consultancy Services.
Well, Mr. Chandrasekaran has to leave, so we are just doing this just because he made the effort to come down here for us. He's also won India's Best CEO Award in very large companies. But since he has a flight to catch, we had to give that away right away. Many congratulations, Mr. Chandrasekaran, and thank you very much. He shares the award with another winner. We'll get to him later now. Let's move on now to our next category. Best CEO Auto and Ancillaries Large Companies. And the nominees are Mr. K.M. Maman of MRF Limited, Mr. Rajiv Bajaj of Bajaj Auto Limited, Mr. Onkar S. Kanwar of Apollo Tyres Limited, Mr. Anand Mahindra of Mahindra & Mahindra Limited, and Mr. Pavan Munjal of Hero Motocorp Limited. And the winner here is well, it is Mr. Anand Mahindra.
Anand Mahindra has taken M&M from tractors to SUVs and two-wheelers, giving the company a whole new dimension. Anand Mahindra, Chairman and Managing Director, Mahindra & Mahindra.
He couldn't be here with us today. Let's move on now to our next category. Okay, we have Mr. Ramesh Iyer here, who will take his award. Let's move on to the next category, Best CEO of Pharmaceuticals and Healthcare Large Companies. And the nominees are Mr. Arun Kumar of Strides Arco Lab Limited, Samir U. Mehta of Torrent Pharmaceuticals Limited, Mr. G.V. Prasad of Dr. Reddy's Laboratories Limited, Ms. Preetha Reddy of Apollo Hospitals Enterprise Limited, and Mr. Pankaj Patel of Cadila Healthcare. And the winner is Mr. Arun Kumar, founder and group CEO of Strides Arco Lab.
Arun Kumar is known for his ability to spot an opportunity and also exit at the right time. In February 2013, he jolted the pharma industry when he chose to sell off Strides' injectable business division, Agila Specialities, to Mylan Incorporated at 9,000 crore rupees. Kumar is now busy building Strides version 2.0. Arun Kumar is founder and group CEO, Strides Arcolab.
Many congratulations, Mr. Kumar. Let's move on to our next category, Best CEO Telecom Large Companies. And the nominees are Himanshu Kapania of Idea Cellular Limited and Mr. Sunil Bharti Mittal of Bharti Airtel Limited. And the winner is Himanshu Kapania. Let's go back.
When Himanshu Kapania took charge of Idea Cellular, it was a trying time for the industry. Known as a nuts and bolts man with an elephantine memory and a sharp analytical brain, Kapania turned things around for the company in a short time against the tide. For the past 3 years, Idea Cellular has been India's fastest growing telecom service provider. Himanshu Kapania, Managing Director, Idea Cellular.
Many congratulations. Moving on to our next category, Best CEO Cement Large Companies. And the nominees are Mr. O.P. Puranmalka of Ultratech Cement Limited, Mr. Kuldeep Kaura of ACL Limited, and this is a name I'm going to mess up, Onvander Yeda of Ambuja Cement Limited. I really tried, but can we have the winner, please? Well, it is Mr. O.P. Puranmalka, and Mr. Naveen Tiwari is here to take the award on his behalf. Now we are down to the final three. It's actually, originally it was the final four, but one award is already gone. India's Best CEO Overall Mid-Sized Companies. And the nominees are, and there are so many nominees in this one, Siddharth Lal of Aisha Motors, Arun Kumar of Strides Arcolab Limited, Zubair Ahmed of GlaxoSmithKline Consumer Healthcare Limited, Rajiv Jain of Bajaj Finance Limited, and Ramesh Iyer of Mahindra & Mahindra Financial Services. And the winner is, it is Arun Kumar, founder and group CEO of Strides Arcolab.
Arun Kumar is reinventing Strides Arcolab with an eye on new opportunities and new areas of growth. Arun Kumar, founder and group CEO, Strides Arcolab.
Many congratulations, Mr. Kumar. Moving on to our next category, India's Best CEO Large Companies, and the nominees are Mr. Bhaskar Bhatt of Titan Company Limited, Mr. K.K. Mistry of Housing Development Finance Corporation Limited, Mr. G.V. Prasad of Dr. Reddy's Laboratories Limited, Mr. K.M. Maman of MRF Limited, and Mr. O.P. Puranmalka of Ultratech Cement Limited. And the winner is G.V. Prasad, co-chairman and CEO, Dr. Reddy's Labs.
G.V. Prasad heads the $2.2 billion NYC-listed generic pharma major Dr. Reddy's Labs. A voracious reader, Prasad wants his company to carry on doing research and still invest around 10% of its sales on research. When not at work, he can be seen wielding his camera and binoculars. Mr. G.V. Prasad, co-chairman and CEO, Dr. Reddy's Labs.
Many congratulations, Mr. Prasad. Well, now it's down to the final award of the evening, and this award is shared by two people, one of whom you know. Let's take a look at India's Best CEO, very large companies. Let's take a look at the nominees. Mr. N. Chandrasekaran of TCS, Mr. A.K. Balian of Petronet LNG Limited, Mr. T.K. Kurian of Wipro, Mr. Anand Mahindra of Mahindra & Mahindra, and Yogesh Chandra Deveshwar of ITC. Any guesses for this one? No guesses? Well, it is the most dapper looking CEO, Anand Mahindra. And he sent a lovely message for all of us. Can we play that, please?
A very good evening to all of you. I do wish I could have been present with you at the awards ceremony today, but unavoidable circumstances prevented me from doing so. And so as the next best alternative, I decided to take recourse to technology to bridge this distance between us. I'm absolutely delighted to know that Business Today has chosen to present me with not one, but two prestigious accolades. It is a great and rare honor to be declared the best CEO overall and the best CEO in the automobile industry by such a prestigious jury. So my thanks to both the jury and to Business Today, which has stood the test of time with its judicious reportage and fresh perspective of corporate India. Business Today also requested me to share my thoughts on leadership with all of you. The truth, however, is there is no magic formula when it comes to good leadership. No one-size-fits-all solution. But to use a metaphor, perhaps a cliched metaphor, but then again, it may be a cliche because it's so appropriate. A CEO's role is akin to that of a conductor in an orchestra, seamlessly melding its various parts to make one harmonious whole. The CEO directs and guides his or her orchestra, bringing out the best in each player, while encouraging them to work as a team to produce a beautiful symphony. In other words, empowerment is perhaps one of the most important aspects of leadership. For it's only an empowered workforce that has the freedom to innovate and help an organization to achieve its true potential. I humbly accept this honor on behalf of 180,000 colleagues in India and across the world, all of whom rise together to contribute to the success of the Mahindra Group.
Can I please invite Mr. Ramesh Iyer, Managing Director, Mahindra Finance, to come and collect the award. Mr. Charan and Mr. Puri, I request you to stay on stage and release our special issue dedicated to the best CEOs of India.